Welcome to another special edition of Tech Talk. We're back here at the Merrick Center. Our guest today is Brett Little, who is the Executive Director of the Alliance, I got to remember, the Alliance of Environmental Sustainability, the mouthful, AES if you can't remember all that. Today's program, Brett's doing a presentation on greening existing homes, and actually this is one that we've been looking forward for a long time. We've covered many things down here at Merrick, if you'll remember, from looking at 25 and 25 proposition forum. We looked at the alternative renewable fair, just a whole variety of things. To the best of my knowledge, this is the first time we've had an expert in who's going to look at specifically residential homing, not homes. Not only what you can do with your home in terms of building a new home, but also what's available to retrofit or deal with existing homes. And Brett, why don't you tell us a little bit about your organization, if you would?
Sure, yeah. The Alliance for Environmental Sustainability, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, and we've been around for about 12 years now. We're headquartered in Grand Rapids, Michigan, but we have an office in Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Chicago.
Okay, so it's not just regional, or it's not just
it's mostly
local.
regional, it's not just state, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, and we've got about what we would call 30 Green Rater, Energy Rater partners across the Midwest. We started out 10 years ago doing what they called grants and tours seminars, and we got grants to go out and do education on all sorts of items that would go into a home to make it greener, whether new or existing, insulation, moisture, bringing up problems with radon. We talked about CFLs before they were cool. All those different things, and then 2005 rolled around, and the United States Green Building Council had wanted to start their pilot on the LEED residential program. Before that, it was all commercial. And so we became one of the first in the Midwest to work with them in Canada to make that happen. And since then, we've been administering, educating, consulting, and certifying on that program. So.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I hear a lot, and you talked about a green home or a LEED certified home, and anybody who's looked at it going, oh my God, look at all the stuff I got to do. But we don't have to do that. We can do all kinds of things that a homeowner could do just to improve the efficiency of their home.
Yeah, certainly they don't have to go through and get it certified by any means. They can. There's a lot of opportunity to improve the home and incrementally improve the home as funds come in. Doing something what we call low-hanging fruit. Energy efficiency, changing light bulbs, insulating correctly, and then saving some money and using those savings to make the next improvement the next years down the road. So,
excellent. Now, I know what you said in the little information you provide. We have 120 million homes in the U.S. and we're using 22% of the nation's energy in those homes. So this is not just a small issue. It's a really large issue. On your website, you have some tools that anybody can access. Your events calendar.
Yeah.
Now, those events are open to the general public, or at least they indicate which ones are?
Yeah, I mean, the events are essentially open up to the general public. A lot of them are free. I would say 50% of them are webinars. So somebody from the comfort of their office could dial in as long as they've got a computer and listen in and see the presentation.
Which you could do at home as well, as long as you've got a high-speed connection.
Exactly, yeah, at home, yep.
Okay. I particularly noticed that you have a, what would you call it, the Resident Green Real Estate Toolkit. Is that something that's also available to?
Yeah, the Residential Green Real Estate Toolkit is available on our website.
Now, what will that show me? What would?
It basically it shows you essentially if you've got an existing home, what are some of the different ways you can go through and improve the energy performance, indoor air quality, water efficiency, and then increase the value of your home as well, resale value if you intend to sell it. So
very good, very good. Well, we look forward to hearing your presentation today. After the close of the presentation, we're going to come back and simply take a look at some of the programs that are available at the college that you might find yourself interested in.
Thanks for everyone for coming out today. Again, my name is Brett Little, and I am the Executive Director at the Alliance for Environmental Sustainability. And essentially today we're going to be talking about greening existing single-family homes, though a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about can certainly apply to multifamily existing buildings as well. real quick, the Alliance for Environmental Sustainability, or short for AES, or the Alliance, it's a mouthful, is a 501c3 nonprofit. We've been around for about 13 years now, doing green building education throughout the Midwest. In 2005, the United States Green Building Council, who purveys the LEED, that's Leadership in Environmental and Energy Design, third-party certification protocol, decided to go out of the commercial realm and also venture into the residential realm. So since 2005, we were one of the first out of 12 LEED for Homes providers covering the Midwest and Canada. Since then, we've been able to grow, doing consulting, education, and third-party verification on-site testing for residential homes all the way from single-family up to 8-story mixed-use, more multifamily in nature residential homes. We also go out and do a monthly webinar series, educating builders, contractors, developers, architects, homeowners on green building practices, principles, theories. And then we do local training like this one in Grand Rapids, all throughout the state and all throughout the Midwest. We put on courses to train. We train about 181 different participants last year, and then we certified over 1,500 LEED units in the Midwest. So that's a little bit about us. We're a small business. We have one other employee in our office as well, and a board, of course. Jumping into green building, or before I do that, a little bit about me. I grew up in Muskegon. My parents and my uncle are back there coming to watch me. I ended up migrating over to Grand Rapids, went to Aquinas College for the Sustainable Business program, ended up falling in love with the city of Grand Rapids and everything that they have going on there. I purchased a house using some interesting financing and funding, and I ended up doing what I would call a moderate green home retrofit to it. So some of the pictures and some of the ideas I'll be showing you today follow what I did to my house, but I certainly talk a little bit more than what I did just because there's a lot more options than what I ended up doing. But it's a 1928-year-old house in Midtown Grand Rapids, and been living there for a year now, so I've got some really neat energy data, and so energy nerds like me like to look at that stuff. So anyway, existing homes, 22% of the nation's energy is used up in our existing homes. That's 20% of our carbon emissions or greenhouse gas emissions. There's 130 million existing homes in the country, so when we talk about where are we going to find new energy, we can certainly mine that energy in existing homes by reducing the fact that we're going to be losing loss through electricity, lighting, heating, and cooling. And so that's what I'm going to talk a little bit more today in the presentation. When we talk about green homes, especially when it's new homes, the perception is that some sort of alien spacecraft is going to land in my neighborhood. There's going to be some kind of crazy looking house with solar panels covering it. It's going to be all glass maybe. I don't know, but the reality is that most of the homes we see today look and feel like any normal home, and the only way you would know that they may be greener or not is looking at their energy bills, looking inside of the wall, breathing the air when you walk in, and feeling refreshed. Just some more examples of some LEED homes. Most of these are actually in Michigan or on the lakeshore that we've helped work on, new and existing homes. So the top 3 benefits of a green home, this was a McGraw-Hill survey done in 2008. Healthier place to live, that's what people are looking for when they're looking at a green home. Reducing their operating costs, and being part of a more sustainable lifestyle. You know, just saying I'm greener than you are. Look at my house. Look at what I drive. It's a sort of a competition to be greener, to save more money, to be healthier, which is great. Energy costs have been one of the key issues that we've seen during the housing industry burst. People have lost their homes because they've been paying too much money for energy. Here's just a 2007-2008 study on the average US-wide, and you can see that energy costs are going over property taxes and homeowner insurances. That may not be the case for all of us, but that is the industry standard, you know, before the housing collapse. So some of the benefits of greening your home, it's healthier, better indoor air quality, increasing your comfort costs, but comfort pays, conserving water and energy, lowering your operating costs, your energy efficiency, increasing the durability and reducing the maintenance of your house, increasing the safety, reducing any kind of waste as you're doing remodeling or repair, and making it environmentally responsible. Green residential remodeling addresses climate control, having a better, more comfortable house, preventing any kind of natural resource depletion, degradation of ecosystems and habitats. We want to prevent that or restore that when we're greening our homes. Improving indoor environmental quality, again, comfort and health and durability. Sort of the same things that we went over in the last slide. Builders, architects, remodelers, they'll come in and they say, we build green, we design green, we remodel green. But what does that exactly mean? You have an idea of what it means, but how do we put a language to it and show when someone's saying green, they may be way down here on the scale, only building energy efficiency or remodeling energy efficiency, while others are looking at certainly a lot more issues when they say they're green. So green can mean a lot of things, and so today I want to kind of put a definition to what it should mean if someone says we're going to green our house or remodel in a greener way. So some of the categories, and I take this out of LEED, but LEED is a great guidance and a great resource for some of the things you should be looking at when you go into your house. And we're going to go through each of these categories when looking at an existing home. The first one, and really important one, is down here in the corner, energy and atmosphere. And then water quality. Location certainly isn't that big of an issue when you're remodeling a home because you can't do anything about that, but we'll talk to that a little bit. Your landscaping, your indoor environmental quality, the resources, materials you're putting in your house when you're remodeling it, and being aware and educated, as well as doing something innovative in your existing house. So first thing you do when you're going to, you take a house that you're either going to remodel, rehab, or the house that you currently own, and you would do something what I would call as a test-in. Get some kind of green checklist and go through and say, this is currently where my house is at. This is where my energy is. This is where my water is. This is currently what I have in my house. So get a feel, get a test in. And I'm going to speak to this a little bit more in the sake of energy at first, but then we'll dive into some of the other items. Testing in from an energy standpoint is going to require a blower door and a thermal imaging camera. Someone coming in and using these diagnostic tools to figure out where you're losing energy through conduction or convection in your house. That's going to be very important so you can get a benchmark to know where you're at. To the naked eye, this looks like a normal, maybe well-insulated house, but using the thermal imaging camera, again on this same shot, you can see that essentially there's likely no insulation in the parts where it's blue. I'm sorry, in the parts where it's heated up right here, because that's heat loss coming out of the house through either improper air sealing, improper insulation. So we'd like to say a used home is going to be obsolete if it doesn't get proper insulation and air sealing, because it's wasting tons of energy and tons of money. Using our blower door tool, setting it up in the doorway, blowing air into the house and pressurizing it, we can find all the air leaks. We can go around the house and find many of these places. You can feel air moving into the house where they're going to be leaking out. And so these are some of the places where you're an existing house that really has no insulation or air sealing, where heat is being lost. And certainly many of the places for opportunity to improve the house. But it's hard to tell if you're not testing it. So as you're doing your air tests and you figure out, maybe you've got penetrations, cracks, recessed lighting that's leaking heat out the top into your attic, Are your ducts leaking air outside or where they don't belong? Maybe you have an unconditioned basement, so it's leaking. Those are some of the things we're looking at when we're doing those tests. Now, so what you'll essentially get when you're doing the blower door test is an air changes per hour. You can figure out how much air leakage you have in the house and say, okay, what do we need to do to improve it? The other great thing is you do the test for the insulation, for the air leakage, and then the person who's coming in, either a BPI, that's Building Performance Institute auditor, or a ResNet, that's Residential Energy Network auditor, or a weatherization contractor is coming in and doing these testing. And besides the air leakage and the insulation, they're going to be looking at your water heater, your appliances, your lighting, your heating and cooling systems, and they're going to be putting all the numbers of the efficiencies into a system, and out is going to spit what we call a HERS index, or a miles per gallon for your house is another way to look at it. And a HERS index is a home energy rating score. And a standard home built to code for the 2006 International Energy Code is going to come in at 100. Anything lower is actually better, where you can see they have a zero energy home at 0. Energy Star, it's not just for light bulbs, it's also for homes, though it is difficult to get Energy Star in an existing home, but they come in at around 85. And here's just some of these builders' challenge homes. So what you do is you benchmark your house, where am I at, and then eventually you come up with the idea of where the improvements need to come down, and you can figure out where you need to go. Now, if you use the data analysis software, it tells you how much money you should save per year, and they give you all those numbers, up to thousands if you can get lower. So it's a good tool, a good benchmark to say, where is the efficiency of the house. So when you're looking at your house and you're looking at some of these ideas and what you can do, you want to probably look at the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest thing that you can do to improve. Power strip everything. Shut it down when you don't use it. Your TV, your computers, they're all drawing energy and wasting it. So real simple practice. There's a number for your microwave. Do you really need your microwave clock? I don't know. It is wasting energy. Your screen on your TV likely can blank out if you're not watching the TV, if there's nothing going on. I have mine blank out after 5 minutes if there's not a show playing, in case I forgot about it. Blanks out, stops drawing a bunch of wasted energy. Real great, quick, easy, cheap thing that you can do to start reducing costs. The next thing you can do is take a look at all of your light bulbs. Are they incandescent? Are they CFLs? LEDs are the new thing. CFLs are great. They're certainly cheaper. They certainly are a great way to go. They reduce a lot of energy. A lot of times they have issues like instant on time. The quality of lighting that comes out of a CFL can be known to cause headaches, which is an issue. If you break it, it's instant mercury poisoning if you don't fix it right. So I recommend LEDs. They're a little bit more efficient than CFLs, hardly in comparison though, maybe with the cost, the upfront cost. But you can find American-made LEDs, which you can't of CFLs, and no longer can you find incandescents. You can find American-made LEDs down in Tampa, in California, maybe about $20 a pop. They come with 5 to 6 year warranties. They're supposed to last 25 years. And they give off a nice warm light. They have instant on. They're dimmable. And I've got them all in my house, and they work great. And they've took my energy bill way down. So I certainly recommend looking into LED innovation out of Tampa, Florida. And if you have any other questions, I know a few more that I can talk to you about. The next thing you want to do is insulation, is the next biggest bang for your buck. A window guy will come to your house, he'll put a heat gun like I showed you, and he'll show that your window is leaking tons of energy. Well, it's not leaking that much in comparison to the insulation of your thermal envelope. That's going to be your next biggest piece. And where you want to do is start at the top at first and work your way down. So here's just a couple shots of insulating attics, blowing in cellulose, putting in spray foam. Here's an image of my attic, 10 inches of spray foam that's made out of 26% sugar beet, sugar cane, rapidly renewable American-grown material. Putting some foam on your door to get into your attic to stop air leakage. If you're going to put cellulose or batt into your attic, those are not good air sealers. They're great for stopping conduction of heat, but not convection. So I recommend to caulk the baseboards of your attic if those are the products you want to put down. But foam itself is great at stopping conduction and convection. It's an air sealer. And that's the first place you're going to want to start seeing some payback come through. The next is your rim band joist, and that's where your foundation walls and your first floor come together. Probably looks familiar. Again, here's an interesting piece out of Habitat for Humanity's homeowner manual. They actually have to tell the homeowners not to tear out the foam insulation or you'll lose heat. Kind of funny, but anyway, you know, foam is a great thing to put up here. If you want to do bad insulation or cellulose, that's fine too, but again, you want to caulk all the joints and crevices here in the existing home if you're not going to use something like foam to do the air sealing. But again, that's going to be the second place where heat is, in fact, cold is coming into your house and hitting your feet and making you feel colder, so you're turning the heat up even more. So that's the next opportunity. Drill and fill. If you're not going to be tearing down your walls and you know there's no insulation because you've got an older home before the codes, your best bet is to blow cellulose insulation into the sides of your house. It can be done from the inside, from the outside. There's many ways to do it. Here's a shot of my house. I've got aluminum siding, so we had to drill into it, and he put white caps over it, and we're going to paint over it eventually, so you won't even notice the caps are there. Here's the machine right here. They load the Applegate Michigan-made cellulose, which is all made out of recycled material, into that. He takes it, pumps it into the house, and you're done. And that's going to be your third biggest place to stop energy leaks. And if you can take the interior of your house down, the existing interior, if you're remodeling the walls, it's a great time to do caulk air sealing, maybe put in some foam, or put in cellulose as well. This is the next best way to do it if you're not going to be planning on tearing down the interior drywall. So next we move down to the next is the foundation walls is where you're losing heat. After all the other ones I talked about, next important. So we sort of have a hybrid solution we did in my house. Half the basement was finished, so we had to tear out that finished part, and we sprayed in foam and then put the drywall back up. My dad knows about that because he helped me do that. But and then the other parts of the basement, we have this thing called EcoCell, and it's this 4 to 6 inch thick solid cellulose that's made in, I believe, from Newell, so it's in West Michigan. And we put that up all over the cement walls to stop the heat from migrating out. There's many other things you can do. Dow makes a great foam board that usually ends up going up on the basements of existing walls. So that's another place where you can stop the heat. In new homes, they will put foam underneath the slab because that is another place where you're losing heat. In an existing home, it could be very expensive to either tear out the slab or to put foam down and then put a whole new slab on top of it. So certainly not recommended unless you're doing a major rehab to the house. Some other opportunities for reducing air loss is your existing baseboards on your left there. Caulking up the existing baseboards. There's air leaking through those, which is heat loss. Caulking up the sides of windows, and potentially even caulking, putting foam and gasketing inside of existing potentially wood windows that are empty. And then also, if you don't have any kind of air sealant behind your electrical outlets, you're losing heat here. And in fact, a local Ferris State did a study on some existing homes in Grand Rapids, like 35 of them. This particular set of home, I forgot what it was, and they found that this was actually, in that home, one of the best ways to reduce heat loss and save money, and that's just the type of the way the home was built. So foam gaskets, you can purchase those and put them in between and stop, and it's pretty cheap, pretty quick to do, and I do recommend getting low or no VOC caulk as well, so you're not breathing that nasty stuff in Here's just a funny example of some people on a project that just got really excited about caulking. So just an example, if you're tearing down your interior walls, here's a great opportunity, if you're not using spray foam, to caulk every corner that you can. A little bit of time and a little bit of money in the upfront, but certainly will save you a lot of money in the long run. Again, if you're doing interior walls, here's an example of some cellulose that they blew in versus bad insulation, which is not as good as an air sealer and not as good as keeping heat, what we call R value, resistance to heat. Doesn't have as much resistance to heat as cellulose does, and certainly can come with formaldehyde in it, though some of the newer BAT comes with less formaldehyde or no formaldehyde and more recycled glass. Or you can put in, again, spray foam in the existing walls if you have the opportunity to tear your walls down. If you have the opportunity to change your siding, here's a great time to put up some Dow foam board. You may have to do some extensions to your windows, which can be very costly, but you may not. Again, that's all subjective on the type of house you have. But here's a great time to air seal your house, prevent moisture from coming in if you're changing your siding. Great suggestion. So, and then you don't have to do the drill and fill. So now that we went from appliances to, well, not even appliances, but vampire power light bulbs, thermal envelope. Here's the last part of the thermal envelope and the least biggest bang for your buck. If you really do need to change your windows, then I do recommend triple pane or double pane windows that have low E argon glass in them. You also want to make sure that if they are southern facing windows and you've got a lot of heat gain from the sun, you want to have a high reflectivity in them so that they're reflecting the heat during the summer, unless you want that heat during the winter. Again, it's all subjective, so doing a solar study on your house to figure that out will be important. And one thing I forgot to put in here, what I did to my house is we didn't want to take out the existing windows, so we just got some Michigan made, and I forgot the company, storm windows that are actually low E glass, and we installed them over the existing nice wood windows on the outside, and that seemed to help reduce a lot of heat loss. So that's another opportunity for existing homes if you don't want to replace your windows but still feel you have a heat loss through them. Again, this might be hard to do with existing homes, but maybe putting on overhangs to prevent that summer sun from pouring in, but to still allow the December sun to pour into your house, depending on which way your house is facing. Planting deciduous trees appropriately based on solar studies to, again, block the sun in the summer and to allow the sun to come in when the leaves fall in the winter. Always a great thing to do if you want to go even further in reducing your energy costs, though hard to do if you can't control where the house goes. The next thing with energy is energy efficiency in your furnace. Get a 95% or better efficient furnace. One thing that's interesting about furnaces is that HVAC contractors, when they're sizing furnaces, they usually had this old method of holding up their thumb and saying that's the size we'll put in. But nowadays, you want to tell them to do a manual J and D or equivalent, and that means they're appropriately sizing your heating and ducts and cooling system for what you need in your house based on your planned insulation and your rehab. So, you know, it might make sense to get a two-stage furnace or a modulating furnace. That's a picture of my Train furnace. It modulates all the way down to 23,000 BTUs. My house calls for about 25,000. If it gets up to stage 2, it goes all the way up to 50,000. So, because a lot of times furnaces are oversized. So what they're doing is they're coming on, going off, and it reduces the durability. It draws on the energy use. So you want to get appropriately sized furnace to ensure you're not wasting energy. Another option is you can get in and do geothermal. There's a lot of geothermal options. Drilling into the ground, putting pipes down, they're getting cheaper and cheaper, and that's just a more energy efficient way to switch out your heating and cooling system if you have the option. On to water heater. Here's the old water heater that I had in my house. It was like 35-year-old dinosaur thing about ready to collapse, and yeah, very inefficient. So what we did is we installed this hybrid water heater, A.O. Smith. You don't see these too often. It's got a 25-gallon tank, but then it's got an on-demand tank that can fire up if we deplete the supply of the water in there. And that actually ended up saving us, you can tell over the summer when you're not running heat, we reduced our heating bills by, or gas usage by 50% by switching over to that. But otherwise, here is a regular tankless water heater that you might see. It's not wasting water. It's only firing up heat when you need it. The drawbacks to the tankless are if you've got someone who takes very long showers and lots of them, you know, they won't run out of hot water, therefore it'll just keep wasting energy. So you might have to consider the type of use you have. It might be worthwhile to stick with a tank, but certainly a more efficient 95% Energy Star 40 to 50 gallon tank is maybe what you need while you're replacing your tanks in your house when you're doing a remodel. Other great ways to stop waste is there is water circulation. So all the wasted heat water, rather than going back out into the drain, the heat water warmer water gets recirculated back into the tank. And so that way the temperature that's been a little bit higher ends up going back into the hot water tank. This can be a little bit hard on existing homes, but certainly can be done if you're doing a major retrofit. Switching over to PEX plastic piping can be better. They're a little more energy efficient piping and a little more flexible, and certainly you know, if you've got lead pipe or galvanized pipe that's rotting, here's a great way to replace it out with this. Putting on, sealing up your existing water heater, hot water pipe, so it's not wasting heat as it's flowing up to where it's going to your sinks. Wrapping those for 10 feet all the way out from the hot water heater is a great thing to do. Another thing I didn't talk about is if you do get a chance to replace your hot water system and you can move it, try to centralize it so it's closer. The hot water length runs are shorter and they're getting to, you know, it's in the middle of the house, so it's getting to everything. The water isn't losing energy as it's coming out rather than way off to the side, if possible. And then sealing up your ducts. This is called duct mastic, or you can use a metal tape. That way heat isn't coming through the cracks of it and getting into places it doesn't need to go, like you have an unconditioned basement. That way the heat gets delivered to where it needs to go in a more efficient manner. It's a pretty cheap, quick thing that you can do yourself. Here's a picture of my thermostat. It's a little bit over the top, but it can tell me the weather and tells me my runtime and usage. Gives you a lot of reports back, but having switching out your thermostat, especially if it's a mercury one, you want to get rid of that right away. But switching it over to an Energy Star programmable thermostat, so you can program in what you want your heating time to be. My colleague just got a Nest installed in his house, and it actually learns your heating patterns and programs itself, and it looks like a regular thermostat, and it kind of glows. It's a pretty neat device. But again, another way, they say you can save about 10% on your energy bills just switching over to an Energy Star thermostat. Appliances, no-brainer. If you're upgrading appliances, look for Energy Star, look for the Energy Guide label. I think they're now going to start labeling dryers, or maybe just gas dryers because of some kind of lawsuit, but I could be wrong. But dryers didn't come labeled before with Energy Star, but they're now going to start doing that. But again, a quick way to reduce your energy load on your house if you're switching it out. And just a real quick example, here's a little, I've got an all-in-one washer, Harrier dryer, high air, I think that's how you say it. And it's also condensing, so all the water, even during the dryer, just comes out through this pipe. And it's a neat little device. It allowed me to plug up what I would call an air leakage hole. When your vent is exhausting out the side of your house, it's also you're losing heat and you're losing air. So what a waste. So I plugged that up. That actually eventually got spray foamed. And so now no wasted heat. Everything just all the water just condenses, the steam condenses and comes out as water. And they're making more and more of these units now. You don't have to get them all in one. They do make them separate as well. But I don't know what that means. What's that? Condense what? It condenses, instead of putting the moisture from the dryer out the side of the house, it condenses it down into water, and puts it out in a water form. So once you've went through and you've made all these upgrades to your homes, you would do an energy test out. Again, you would get your air changes per hour. You figure out how well you did. Maybe you missed a spot of caulking, insulation. Something got missed that the contractor did, but here's a way to catch what they missed, especially if you took the drywall down before you put it back up. Go through and what we would call test out. That way when you're testing out, you can get your new HERS score. You can see what maybe you came in at 130. So for example, mine was about 145. The name of the house is Little House on Crescent. You have to give it a project name. So anyway, came in about 145. After the upgrades we did to it, we got it down to 75, so about a 50% improvement in energy. And a lot of times when you do these energy upgrades and you benchmark it, you can see how successful you've been. You can use it for tax incentives, other rebates. But that's where it compares just a little bit higher than an Energy Star version 2 home, though now Energy Star is under version 3, so actually they're usually down in the 75 range. So, and real quick, this is pretty interesting. O-Power, it syncs up with your Facebook, and you can put your utility account on it. And I show you, this is actually the month of July, which was one of the hottest months we had this year, one of the hotter months on record. And just shows a picture of my Facebook where my home came in at. Here's similar homes. We put in some data of what our house is like, how many people live there. So here's what an average home comes out to be, and here's what they would call an energy efficient or green home. So you can see with the upgrades that we did, I can compare and contrast myself to real people. We can all get on here. It's free. It syncs up to your Facebook. Every month it auto updates my friends. Hey, my house is greener than you. What's going on? So it's pretty neat. I love it. And they're going to be partnering up with DTE soon. And they're going to be partnering up with other utilities all around the country so you can get some real energy data. So the next thing I want to get into, and I'm going to try to fly through some of this. Energy is a big cornerstone, but one thing we like to say, and it kind of got cut off here, but make it tight, ventilate right. It's a great saying in our industry. You tighten up the house, now all of a sudden, air's not coming in. All the toxins that are off-gassing from various materials in your house, now they're staying in your house longer. So you've got to find ways to remove those toxins and reduce them from the source. So we're going to jump into a little bit on what that looks like and how to do it. It's often, unfortunately, ignored. When you talk about tax incentives and tax breaks for energy, everyone talks about let's get our energy down, let's improve our performance, but no one talks about when you're in a tighter house, how it's going to be harder to breathe, how it's going to be more toxic. So certainly something that needs to be addressed. And first thing we want to do is get rid of, especially in existing homes, we want to do a couple different things. Up there on your left is a device that sits in your house for 3 to 30 days. Home inspectors have them. They're radon detection kits. They go in the basement, they detect if there's radon, so they can use that to tell you if you've got a radon issue. The next thing you want to do if you've got an older home is lead paint. Does the paint have lead in it? Get that tested and then get that remediated immediately. I think there was an NPR report just saying kids in Detroit, terrible school grades when they had, and they correlated that with lead exposure. So, asbestos. Unfortunately, this is my house right here. I do have a little bit of asbestos up an event, kind of far away, but it's there and it's embarrassing. But I'll admit it. I don't know if I can call my house green when I have asbestos in it, but get the house tested. A lot of energy testers won't come in and do the blower door testing if there's asbestos because it can shake it. And asbestos fibers will come loose, you'll breathe it in, cancer, all sorts of fun stuff. So it can be a little bit costly to remediate. There are ways to seal it up. I'm in the process of figuring out what we want to do. We need a new vent anyway. So yeah, if you do have a radon problem, there's a couple of things you can do. And good news here, worst, better, best. Muskegon is in the yellow zone. This is an EPA map, but that doesn't mean you're safe. Unfortunately, it's all different on all different soils. They really need to improve those EPA maps. But if you do find yourself with a radon problem, it can be a little bit costly. You're going to have to drill down into the existing slab. You're going to have to install a pipe, and the pipe can either go up through the roof or out the side of the roof, or out the side of the house. And what that's doing is, because radon is coming up from the ground, and it's making sure that the molecules that are coming up are being vented either out the side or up the house rather than into the house where you'll be breathing them in or getting it into your lungs. So that can be a costly expense, but certainly number 2 cause of lung cancer. What costs more, lung cancer or this radon mitigation device? I don't know. There's another way that we can mitigate this, and that's called an energy recovery ventilator, which gives you other benefits, and I'm going to jump into that at the end. So this certainly is not the only way to do it, but reducing point source, VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, basically off-gassing toxins that come from all of our own materials, even our clothes. Some of the ways to do that in homes are, if you're going to be repainting, I certainly recommend to use a no or low VOC paint. I used Benjamin Moore on my basement when we repainted, when we tore out the wall. It's a 0 VOC. We painted, I couldn't even breathe it. I couldn't smell anything. I couldn't believe it. We tried to use safe paint, which actually goes beyond 0 VOC and has no petrol or oil-based chemicals, but we couldn't get the color we wanted. But it's interesting, they ship it to you in a powder form, and you can mix it up right then and there, so you don't have to ship water around. Certainly something interesting, I think it's a milk-based paint. I think it'll be growing in the future. Something that's Green Guard certified for indoor air quality. Look for that logo when you're buying any kind of products for your house to make sure it's low or no VOC. Removing your carpet is certainly a good way to go. Putting in a bio-based stained hardwood flooring. Carpet has lots of VOCs on it, so and wood flooring I think just looks way nice, though I suppose it is a little bit colder on your feet. But another way to stop point source VOCs in the house. We did a duct cleaning, so the house, they had dogs before we owned it, and it was just a nasty, full of hair. So we had duct cleaners come in and clean out the ducts. Certainly another great thing to do after you, if you've got an existing home, especially if they had pets in the home. I can't believe it, but when your mother told you to take your shoes off, she was being very green. Believe it or not, toxins are picked up, dirt, bacteria is picked up on your shoes. Wiping it off on the doormat and then putting your shoes into a thing here actually gets you points in green building systems, you know. Who would have thought? Pretty simple. Install one of those, install a mat, stop those toxins from coming in your house. I'm showing this slide again because in the dinosaur water heater that I had, it was naturally drafting, and so all the burning gas in it to get me hot water was just going up into the house. VOCs that I were breathing in. So on newer equipment and newer systems, you want to make sure that they're vented right to the outdoors. They're not vented into the house, vented right out the side. So yeah, real quick, carbon monoxide. Put a carbon monoxide detector in your bedroom, in any room, by the door. If you've got an attached garage, put it near the attached garage. Something that can quick save you if there are any carbon monoxide issues. A lot of homes aren't venting their hood range stove out the side of the house, thus moisture and other issues are coming from when you're cooking, when you're cleaning, aren't getting vented out the side of the house, so they may be degrading the quality of the interior. So make sure that's not vented into the attic, but actually, here's an image of mine. We had it installed and it's coming out the side of the house. Your bath fan may be venting into your attic, which is going to be reducing your durability. Your bath fan's probably really loud and noisy, which means it's very inefficient. And it's also maybe not functioning that well. So I installed the Panasonic Whisper Green. It's very quiet, vents out the roof. It's 500% more efficient. We know it's reducing energy. It has a little LED light on it, so it just flickers to let me know it's on. You know, when I get out of the shower, there is not a speck of moisture on the mirror. It works perfect, and it's pretty cheap too. So good indoor air quality strategies. MERV filter. So your filters in your furnace are probably this big. You probably got to change them every 3 months. Mine is what I would call, I believe it falls in MERV 10. It's about this big. They range all the way from, you know, 8 is best practice, 10 is better, and 13 is the best. And hospitals have even higher MERV. Basically, as the air is circulating through your furnace, through your house, to cool or heat your house. It's catching any kind of toxins, bacteria, dust, particulates. It's catching it in this filter and stopping it from re-entering into your house or back into the heating system. So great practice to do that. I guess they make even the small ones at higher MERV ratings now. So check out the MERV rating and make sure you change it. This one only needs to be changed every 6 to 8 months, so less time, but a little more costly. But if you order them in bulk, they're a lot cheaper. So I know it's a little bit dark, but if you can see, there's a big black box and there's tentacles coming out. It kind of looks like a robot attacking you. I was going to put a face on it, but it's my ERV. It's an energy recovery ventilator. And I have a picture of lungs because it's kind of like the lungs of the house. It's bringing in fresh air and exhausting stale air. And it also has a wheel in it. And here's another example of an energy recovery ventilator. So the warm air is coming in. It's hitting a heat exchange membrane. Or I'm sorry, the cool air, for example, is coming into your house during the wintertime for fresh air. It's heating a heat exchange membrane, and the outgoing air that you've already used up is heated up, and it's passing that membrane. And no air touches, but the warmth touches, the heat transfers. And so it keeps the heat in your house, but still allows your house to breathe. So once you get your ACH, your air changes per hour, down to 6 or lower, they do recommend that you put in an energy recovery ventilator. It also expels moisture in the summertime. So you know how you get really moist, humid homes. It does help dehumidify the air a little bit. Though it also does that in the winter, so then your air is pretty dry as it's running, but unless you have a humidifier. And this is a great way to also improve the quality of the air in your house. And if you've got a radon problem, this will help stop that radon, because if it comes up through the floor, it's getting into your house. As the air is circulating and expelling, it'll help take that out. Though it's not 100% foolproof, it is a better practice if you can't drill into your slab. If you can avoid it when you're remodeling, don't have a garage, don't attach the garage. All sorts of stuff, chemicals that are stored in the garage, the carbon monoxide from your car might be seeping into your house. If you are going to do it, make sure to air seal really well between your garage and your house. So, you know, example of it, a detached garage is best practice for indoor air quality. I don't know, use a carport or just try not to attach the garage. I guess if you're remodeling, you can't really help it, but make sure to air seal and put a carbon monoxide detector next to where the garage is, just so you know nothing's coming in. And some people, they put fans, so when the garage door opens, it's exhausting air, or when you're in your garage, when the light's on, it's like a switch, occupancy sensor, it's exhausting air out of the garage. So if your car's running, you won't have that issue. Real important next is water efficiency. Certainly not to be ignored, even though we live by the Great Lakes. When I have water efficiency conversations with people in the Great Lakes when we're working on green projects, sometimes I get laughed at. They're like, look how much water we have. Why do we have to worry about it? I don't know. I don't know how to explain that one. But anyway, very important. Number one thing you can do, kind of like you're testing in with energy, test in with leaks. So find ways to reduce any kind of water leaks that you have in your house. You can put some dye in your toilet, see if it shows up in the bowl, you know it's leaking. You can check your water meter, make sure, you know, turn off all your water in the house, everything that should be flowing water, see if it's still spinning. Another great way to check leaks, and there's other ways, various ways, have a water leak test done like you would have an energy test done. The next best thing you can do is install more water efficient devices. So at the top here is the Niagara Stealth, and this thing has 0.8 gallons per flush. Code is 1.6, so it's half of code. Some older homes and businesses have 3.5, some have 6. This has 0.8, and it's single flush. It's not dual flush. I don't know if you heard about dual flushes lately, but a lot of dual flushes have been failing. I don't recommend them, though I don't know about all of them. But this is a single flush 0.8. It's lower than any dual flush. And you know, does it work? It's vacuum assisted. And the question of does it work is one of our multifamily project teams who installs these things in like hundreds of thousands of units in some of their applications, they swear by it. They wrote up a whole testimonial, and they say, it works just fine. It's pressure assisted. If parts break down, they're easy to find. So I can't help but recommend, the least water using toilet. It's $275, not too much. Look for WaterSense labeled certified devices. Here's a picture of what I installed in my house. It's a Niagara, and I'm not trying to promote Niagara, they just make great products. 1.5 gallon per minute. Yours probably uses 2.2. It's wasting a ton of water. It was $5 on Amazon plus shipping. You just switch it out. That was a water pick. That was like $16 at, and that's the shower head right there. That was like $16 at Home Depot. It's 1.6 gallons per minute. Your average shower head's probably 2.5. And it has settings so I can get it down to 1, like in the summertime if I don't mind to take a mist shower. Brycor also makes great products. They make like a 1 gallon per minute shower head, which I saw in someone's house work just fine. And so, interesting company out of California. Over on the left, I've got images of a gray water system, which we don't usually see too often here, so I don't know too much about them. But the concept is your wasted shower water, your wasted sink water is still now considered gray water, not black water. Your food water in your sink would be considered black water because it has touched an organic compound or substance, but shower and sink would not be considered it, so you could still reuse it in something like your toilet, which is a black water application. So another way to reduce water if you're retrofitting your entire bathroom. But again, I don't know too much about that. We don't see it too often. In your lawns, if you've got a sprinkler system, I guess my first suggestion is don't water your sidewalk. It'll still grow without water. It's weird. And then, you can put in drip irrigation systems, so that way you're not spraying water everywhere. The water's getting to the root systems, though those can be expensive. I've seen a lot of people use moisture or weather sensing data, so then they tell the sprinklers when to come on. Get an eco-turf that doesn't use any water, plant native grasses. Don't put in a sprinkler system, it could be expensive. Real quick, materials and resource. When you're upgrading your house, remodeling it, look for more recycled content. Look for, again, no or low VOC. Look for locally produced, not even produced or manufactured, but locally mined. The more local you can get it, the more money you can keep regionally in our local economies, the better it does, as well as the farther products have to ship, the more greenhouse gases they're going to emit, and potentially the more they're going to cost. You could look for forest stewardship certified wood, or you can just get wood made in America or grown in America, which is probably cheaper, doesn't need a costly certification, and it's probably more sustainable. Another thing when you're doing remodels is waste management. Have a waste management plan. What are you going to take out? What are you going to, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to recycle it? Is Padnos going to come by and pick it up? Is the Habitat for Humanity Resort going to pick it up? The Goodwill in Grand Rapids recycles tons of stuff. Maybe you can donate it to them. They actually make money doing it. Think that through before you start tearing down anything in your house. Where can it go? I think we're coming up near the end, so I'm going to skip through. When you're doing landscaping, try to reduce your turf, put in more drought-tolerant water species or less water. Here's a permeable application. So when rain water hits it, it's permeable, so it goes right down into the ground table or into the water table. Here's native landscaping that looks beautiful, reduce their water cost, water needs. Certainly something to do when you're rehabbing your house. Take a look at durability. Is there moisture issues? Is there rainwater issues? Is there pest issues? Try to consider all of them when you're rehabbing and remodeling your house so they don't affect the quality of life and the occupancy. And if you look into some of these things, insurance companies may give discounts if you've considered them. Location efficiency, I can skip that. Education, how much is this going to cost me? I would say, let's see. Here's an example of what we did. We got a 75% energy reduction in some of the stuff we did. over the 30-year life of the loan to do the energy improvements we did, we probably saved $800 a year. And some of it got cut off, but it was about a 21-year payback on it. But some of the stuff we have to consider are rising energy prices. Warmer weather in the summer, it's going to cost more money to cool your house. Though now we get warmer weather in the, that's supposed to say winter, so it's less cost to heat your house. So all those things you've got to take into consideration. But again, we saw about a 25-year payback on some of the upgrades we did on our house. But you might want to take advantage of tax incentives, zero interest loans, Michigan Saves, better buildings, energy efficiency, mortgages. We took advantage of all of those. And the last thing I would say is we did a moderate retrofit. So I would say $20,000 to $30,000 for a moderate retrofit, and maybe about $50,000 to $100,000 for what they call deep energy retrofits, maybe getting you to zero energy. So a little bit over time, so I'm going to just end it with that. So thank you.
Brett's presentation hopefully will help you identify a lot of things that you can do within your home. He talked about the low-hanging fruit. This is where you start. If nothing else, look at your lighting, look at your insulation. He's talked about issues that allow us to make adjustments that actually improve our situation. And I think it's particularly important to note that throughout his presentation, he made mention of many, many American-made and Michigan-made products in this field. If you are interested in exploring alternative and renewable energy further, we have a number of programs at the college that I'm sure will benefit you or may be worth your while to explore. In the coursework area, we actually have an introductory course into alternative and renewable energy. This will give you a broad overview of the technology, and you'll be able to get a feel for where it's been, where it's going, and what is happening in this area. The college has two certificate programs, one in wind and solar. This certificate focuses on residential and light commercial applications and many of the things that we've heard about today, from solar to wind to solar thermal hot water. We also have a certificate program in biofuels. This will introduce you to the production of ethanol, biodiesel, and methane, and prepare you for a career in monitoring and managing these systems. The school, if you're a student, please consider the undergraduate research program at the school. Whether you're a biology student, a chemistry student, a technology student, this will give you an opportunity to put a hands-on touch to the biofuels area. You can operate a digester, you can actually identify the bacteria that's used in that. It's a great opportunity for a student looking for some advanced work in the field of biofuel. Finally, we have a student chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council. Keep in mind that this club is not just for technology students. If you're an accounting student, there's a lot of finance that goes on with green technology. If you are involved in geography or geology, chemistry, biology students, obviously, even journalism students, because there's a lot to be written about this and communicated in this field. In total, there's many, many programs at MCC that tie into alternative and renewable energy, the whole green energy concept. Please consider those as part of your academic career or your ongoing education.